Well, John, welcome to the Pursuit of Peace podcast.
Yes.
How does it feel to be in the midst, in the studio?
Feels good. It feels really good. The studio looks amazing. It feels good. Every time I get time to spend time with you, I love it. So it's all good.
Ah, there you go. I didn't pay you to say that. People need to know that. But good to have you on the podcast. So I'm going to tell the people a bit about who you are, give you some flowers, and let people like journey into getting to know a bit about you. Is that okay?
That's perfect, man.
So don't
Thank
be too awkward when I give all these flowers. Just try and catch them.
Yeah.
So John, you're known as a poet, a rapper, the Coventry Poet Laureate, but at the heart your roots go even deeper into a love in the creative dimensions and a love for young people.
Yeah.
Okay. You're a product of East Africa with your heritage, and you had an amazing storytelling grandmother, which has led to you even soaring to high-level commission work such as poems with Ferrari and Amazon in the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. Yeah, to writing spoken word for even the launch of Coventry City Football Club's successful season ticket campaign, the biggest so far.
Yes, it was the biggest so far. Come on.
Yeah, so you brought some flavour there. You've journeyed through your life. You've dealt with loss at a young age, and that's formed a lot of your journey.
Definitely.
You're able to see through the eyes of people that have journeyed foster care, and there's been different challenges you've overcome as you've journeyed through that. But actually, your creative talent even led to when you were 17. You were offered a deal with Sony, and actually, we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
But we'll also talk about how you attribute a lot of your value and purpose to your faith.
Yeah,
as you journey through.
Yeah.
So that leads to you enjoying lots of things. So, I've learned that you've enjoy, being a youth voice mobilizer, as you once shared with me, and mentoring people, but even doing creative performances and expressing yourself. And that's even led to winning BBC Words First, the national spoken word competition, run by Apples and Snakes and BBC One Extra, and even a performance with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, Symphony Hall in Birmingham. And above all those things, you're a father to an amazing daughter and son.
Yes, man.
Did I hit it okay, or was anything
You might
else
have forgotten
you
now.
think is a big
You've hit
flavour?
all there. You've done well. Good research. Though,
Nice. Well, it's good to have you in the midst.
Thank you for having me, man.
How does it feel to be sat in a seat and instead of expressing something, to be more conversating?
Do you know what? I always find these moments quite weird because it's like you're sat down and you kind of have to kind of dig deeper into the conversation rather than surface level. So it's always like, it's a really cool thing to do. But then if you look at the amount of times we actually get to sit down and actually properly talk, it's rare. So it's a bit awkward at times. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get in the flow. We're gonna start with one of our little fun games here. Okay, so get ready. So this is called bucket, bin, or bargain. Okay?
Bucket, bin, or bargain.
So bargain is if it's a swish.
Okay.
You're gonna go for it. Always a winner.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like basketball, right? You get a bucket. It's a nice swish. Bin. If I give you an option, you're like, put it in the bin. It's trash. It's garbage. It's rubbish. Get rid of it. Okay. Bargain is only if it's cheap.
Okay, cool.
So a thing only if it's cheap. Bucket, bin, or bargain.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool, yeah,
You're with me so far?
I'm with
Okay.
you, yeah.
So first one, we'll go holiday. An alpine ski slope. Little skiing holiday. Bucket, you're spending big money. It's always a winner. Bargain only if it's cheap, or put it in the bin. You're not interested.
Do you know what? I'll bucket. Only because it's on my bucket list.
Okay.
But genuinely though, I'll definitely bucket because I've always wanted to go skiing as well, so I haven't had a chance to do so. I spent a lot of my summers and winters when I was a kid in Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of ice skating and stuff. So I would love to actually go and ski. Yeah.
Okay, and it'd be skiing or snowboarding.
I heard snowboarding's harder.
I've heard it's harder.
Yeah.
But it just looks cooler, right? So.
It does. Do you know what? Yeah, snowboarding. Yeah.
Okay, right. Next one, food. So
Okay.
even before we started pressing record, this was on my list, but then you just said it.
Yeah.
Ugali.
Bucket 24 million times.
So explain to the people, if they're not cultured with maybe East African cuisine, what is ugali? So
That is
in
hard
other
to-
countries near where are your roots?
Yeah, Tanzania and Burundi. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so I've spent some time in Rwanda. Some people there will also call it ubagali,
Ubagali.
but it's the same thing.
What, made by an Uber driver? Or?
No, made by Rwandan fresh
Right,
hands. But So for me, if I
Yeah.
think of ugali or any of these, I think in West Africa they call it something else.
Fufu
Yeah,
or
yeah,
pap.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, South Africa.
It's
Pap,
for me. My
Saza.
understanding is it's a standard maize and water thing.
It
right? Mixed
basically
together.
is, but I think what kind of it depends how you like it. Some people like I think West Africans with fufu is much softer than how we have it in East Africa. I think depending how you like it, some of us like it a bit harder than normal fufu would be. And what accompanies it, that's the key. So you're gonna have are you a spinach and meat nyama choma, or are you more fish?
I'm a meat guy, but the
Yeah.
thing is, I feel like this
Yeah.
is going to become the pursuit of ugali podcast. By the way, you're talking about this
Bucket.
yeah, bucket.
Yeah.
We'll go with bucket, and we'll say for me it's ugali, but it's got to be with a little meat. Like wrap it up. How about yourself? What would you
Nyama
have it
choma,
with?
probably nyama choma and spinach.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
nyama choma meaning
Okay.
meat. Yeah.
Right, next one. So you had your ugali
Bucket, yeah.
drink,
Okay.
sparkling water.
Hell no.
So that's bin all day.
Bin.
I'm the same. It's got to be
Bin,
still.
yeah.
Okay, next one. Clothing, sunglasses. I've never really seen you
Bin.
wearing sunglasses.
Bin. I never wear sunglasses.
There you go. That makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Why?
yeah. I've got nothing to hide.
Yeah, but you got eyes to protect.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I've got eyelashes to do that, Yeah, do you know what? I've never really been into sunglasses, and a lot of my friends are. And I try it, but it's just not me.
Okay.
I always feel like, just roll what you're
Maybe
cool
see you
with.
in a hat instead if you're really.
No, I
needing it.
can't wear hats.
Okay, wow.
Head shape's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, next one. Transport. Black cab taxis. So it could be in your standard London. It could be it could be a yellow cab in New York. But you know that style of taxis. We're not talking Uber or a Bolt or anything. We're talking like a standard old school,
Do you know what?
almost becoming extinct black cab taxi.
I'll buck it because sometimes it's difficult to get an Uber. When especially if you're in London or something, and depending where you are, and you just see a black taxi there, you should jump into that black taxi. So I'll say bucket.
Yeah, nice. Usually you got to spend a little bit more. It's convenience.
It's convenient, depending where you are, though. Yeah.
Fine. Okay, health kick here. Well, not maybe a health kick. We'll talk therapy. Hypnotherapy. Bucket, bin, or bargain?
Remind me what hypnotherapy is again.
To be honest, I'm stretching a bit here,
Okay,
but they're trying to speak you through and get you to kind of like hypnosis.
Bin
So
it,
kind of
bin it. Yeah.
dream,
Bin it.
dealing
Tapping
with
into
your
subconscious.
conscious,
Yeah, bin it.
subconscious. Nice. Okay, next one. Experience.
Okay.
Alpaca farm.
What's alpaca farm?
Like those
animals?
They're like animals. I
Okay.
was gonna say they're like not horses or donkeys or sheep, but long necks.
Okay.
Those things.
Do you
Like
know what?
llamas,
Bargain,
Yeah, they're in
bargain.
the same sort.
To
Yeah.
me, do you know what's funny though? My secondary school had llamas. Yeah, we had llamas. Literally, so you're walking in the morning, you just got llamas on your left-hand side.
Greeted by the llamas,
Greeted
not
by
the
the
head teachers.
llamas. Bargain. Yeah, bargain.
Nice, okay, so you wouldn't mind going if it's cheap,
Yeah.
Okay, and last one is over to you. I want to give you to give us one of each type, but from like poetic expressions, or you could say creative expressions if you want. So which one is you'd maybe invest in or spend a lot of money in, which would be a bucket? Which sort of poetic expression or creative expression would be in the bin?
What do you mean?
And which one, so you're not a fan of it, sort of thing,
Oh, creative
Or
expression.
which one would be bargain, only if it's cheap, right? So if it was
Okay.
music, someone might go, all day I'm going to spend loads of money on a reggae ticket, or,
Okay.
But put in the bin hard metal and rock music type thing. So
Okay,
or
that's
for
what you-
poetic expressions, or if you
Yeah.
need to go a bit wider, creative expressions.
Do you know what? Okay, so theatre, for example, bargain.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if it's cheap, you don't
If it's
mind
cheap,
going for a
yeah.
little,
But it
piece.
depends on what I'm watching as well. Poetry, definitely bucket. Bin, what would I bin?
Some sort of creative expression, maybe something on TikTok right now. You're like, what are they even doing? Or something that is an old school creative expression. You're like, keep it old school. It doesn't need to become new.
Okay, do you know what I've been though? Like trends,
Okay.
like music trends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So rather than people kind of sticking to what they know or what they love to do in terms of expression, right? Then jumping onto the bandwagon of what's popping just to kind of get that hit. So that I would been about the creative side of
So your
things.
standard like TikTok, like 45-second thing where it gets teenage kids like dancing for
Yeah,
like 3 months and,
and don't
millions of views, but then
It flats out
you know?
dies. And don't get me wrong, like if that's the type of artistry that person kind of possesses, then that's great. But I think when it becomes, I'm trying to do this to imitate this artist just to get that hype, we've been that. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you with us. Good to be in the midst.
Thank you.
It's good to call you not just a friend, but also a brother, and good to sit on this side of the mic with you.
Definitely appreciate you, man.
So here you go. Let's get into it.
Okay.
Pursuit of Peace podcast. First question for everyone is always the same. What does peace mean to you?
What does peace mean to me? I think for me, it's being able to sleep at night, being able to sleep knowing that you are fully whole as a person, you know, and you're not giving almost different faces of you to different people, but whoever people speak to about you, they could say similar things, you know, and being at peace within yourself and knowing that you're giving the full you to the world in that sense, man.
Interesting. Yeah. That's interesting because I'm hearing you talk about like authenticity there. And this is who I am, and like I'm cool with my identity.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm cool. I can sleep at night. I'm cool with my thoughts, and it's powerful because I think, you know, you stand and sit and walk and talk as a poet in different expressions, right? And a creative, but also like a youth mentor, and you know, you use your pen a lot.
Yes, definitely.
And I find it, you know, how does peace align with your pen? You know, as a poet.
You know, that's a deep question. So the surface level answer would be, as a poet, you need a pen to write. That's a surface level. But the deeper level behind it is, you know, I think God used the pen to save my life just as a person, you know. So I grew up journeying a lot and telling stories a lot, you know, and I think we're going to go into it later on. But I think, you know, doing that from a young age and losing something that kind of aided me towards that pathway, you know, the only memory or the only thing that I could sort of do and still remain almost in like close proximity with a loved one that's passed was through my pen, you know, and I can paint pictures with my pen, you know, and I could see the world beyond my circumstances, you know, and create a world that I wanted to see. And funny enough, I was saying to my friends were saying this to me, in fact, we're having this conversation, there's some stuff that I've achieved and we'll laugh because it was plastered on my wall, like when I was a teenager, you know, it was written down, you know, and that's the fun part about having a pen. And there's a Psalms, I don't know if I can remember it properly, but it's like, you know, my pen's like a tongue of a skillful writer. And I remember I used to recite this Psalm a lot, you know, just embracing myself in the power of words and the power of being able to write in that sense.
Wow, it's powerful. Yeah. You talked about being at home, and you know, often I'll bring out something about peace. It's often a quote.
Yeah.
And when I was even processing this quote that we could talk about and journey is actually linked to home. I know that's a big part of your story, and I would love to journey that. And I find that, you know, this quote's really interesting because it talks about world peace, but it talks about home. I think we're in this time where in the UK there's new governments turning over. There's been issues in Ukraine. There's Trump doing various things in different spaces. There's people in different countries, and world peace is a big topic right now. But let me share this quote with you, and let me know what your thoughts are. So it's from Mother Teresa.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and the quote goes like this: "What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family."
Okay.
That's the quote.
Yeah.
What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family.
Yeah.
And as you hear that, when you consider peace from your perspective, or you talked about, you know, things that happened in your home, and your home now as a young person might be different to someone with kids, but how does that speak to you when you hear that quote? What can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family.
Do you know what? It goes back to, there was a saying that charity starts at home. You know, I think everything starts with, you know, at home with people that are around you on a daily. What happens is, I think sometimes is, you know, we want to go save the world, but then we forget about our own households, you know. And I think, you know, even if you go out there and you do the most amazing stuff, but then say I've got kids, right? I can go out there and work with all the kids in the UK and beyond. But if my kids come back and say my dad was rarely home or my dad didn't really do much, that takes away everything. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'd rather, you know, be able to, you know, have that peace at home and do what I can, give them 100 at home, and therefore I'll have the authenticity as well to be able to give 100 outside to other kids as well. So there's no point in me having issues at home with my kids and they're not dealing with that, but then dealing with other people's kids, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
So yeah, so approaching that situation, yeah, charity starts at home.
But I guess, you know, you're a busy person.
Yeah.
So I kind of have the thoughts as well. Where does the rubber hit the road? Because when you're in a space where yourself, myself, others have so many things on the schedule, actually, how do you make time for those things? And how does that come in amidst of a schedule of so many different things? How do you remember home? How do you remember where you want to focus your time and, you know, pursue peace for yourself and others when you're forever got a schedule of different things happening?
Yeah, I think it's having at the forefront. It's for home. The reason why you're leaving home is for home, you know. And my kids are at the age where I can have a conversation with them about what I do, and they know what I do, and they come to some shows and stuff. But sometimes it gets to that place where you're like, oh God, I haven't really spent enough quality time with my kids. It's been in and out of jobs, into school, I've done this, and you know, but we haven't had quality time, you know. And funny enough, this even happened to me yesterday where I had to cancel a booking. Right, and I said to them, like, my daughter wants to go to the fair, you know, and I have to take my daughter to the fair, you know, because home has to come first. And, you know, I had a conversation with a friend, and a friend was like, yeah, but you still have to keep it professional. I said, yeah, I get it, but my daughter wants to come to the fair or go to the fair, and that's always going to come first, whether I've got, and there's been times where I've had big bookings, right, and I said, I can't do it because my son wants to do this or my daughter wants to go there. And I always have to have that at the forefront, because it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If they don't see the fruits or the benefit of it, it's pointless, absolutely pointless. And if they haven't got peace, then I definitely won't have peace, you know? So, yeah.
It's interesting because you're creative, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about the creative spheres and this pursuit of peace and what peace looks like, I guess if I bounce it to you around for poets, for creatives, for, you know, you do rapping, I didn't talk too much about that as well, and, you know, other things. How do you think peace looks like in your community, in your sphere, in your sector? Or maybe how do you think it varies? You know, it might be people get it right or people get it wrong. You know, how do you think it varies in your sector and community and sphere?
I think for me, it's, you know, I put it this way, it's like a fish out of water, right? Or, you know, having the inability to do something that you're meant to do, you know, I think that's what takes away the peace. As a creative, if I'm not being creative, I feel out of place. I feel like a fish out of water. Like, I feel like I'm drowning, you know, even if I'm under immense pressure and stress. If I go into a room and I start writing or I start listening to music and I start processing my thoughts into lyrics or stories or whatever, it's like the stress begins to leave.
It's like oxygen.
It's like oxygen, yeah. It's like, oh, okay, cool, I'm back to this again, you know? So it's that very thing. So I always say to people, like, especially creatives, I think creatives know this anyway, it's like just being in, and sometimes what happens is we're so busy that we kind of go away from that very thing that gave us that energy, which is the process, you know, because we come out of the process to the product, right? And we're running with the product, whether it's a music video that's been released or, you know, a stage show, whatever, and then we're forgetting about the process. And but the product has the end, it has an end. So it's like, yeah, you've done a show, everyone claps, oh my gosh, yeah, there's a high, you performed, and then there's that low, right? Yeah. So that low, it's like, yo, go back to the process, you know, let's go back to the drawing board again, you know, and I think that's where, you know, the piece comes from. And again, being yourself, being authentically you in that process as well, and not trying to come out of creativity as you've been called to do it, to try to fit a mold of like what's going on out there that you feel like would work, you know. And it's not necessarily about not trying or exploring things, but it's about, again, being true to what you want to give out as well, you know. Like I always say to young people, like, we've already got a central C. We don't need more central C, you know. We need you. You know, we need your story.
He doesn't, and Central C doesn't need any more roadmen either. I remember when I was at the Mobile Awards, and we were there, and he walks on stage to get an award, and there's about 10 men around him.
Yeah.
And when his bouncers, they were
just
the guys alongside,
behind,
you know?
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting because you talk about this navigation, and you talked about the product, for example, on music, where you got the music video, you get the hype. And then tomorrow you go home and there's no more hype. And, I don't know, you turn off your social media and there's no one's blowing up your socials anymore. And I think I love to journey with people on the podcast around like a bump in the road or a personal tragedy or challenge. And a big thing, you were talking a little bit earlier about the pen, right? And how you used to put things on your wall and help you navigate the pen. And, your walk by faith saved you and those sort of things. And, you know, you talked about dealing with loss early. Talk to us about with that journey for you and dealing with loss, what happened. And
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think I've had a different relationship with loss, man, because, you know, I've experienced this at a young age. I lost my dad at a young age. Then it was just me, my mom, and my sister, you know, and it's that whole thing of, you know, my mom was mom, dad, best friend, you know, encourager, motivator, everything all into one person, you know, prayer warrior, you know, and, you know, you go through this process and, you know, you put as a young person, you really did, your identity is embedded in your parent, you know, or your carer, you know what I mean? And that was my mom. You know, everything that I was a mommy's boy to the T, you know. And I played a lot of football because of my mom. So my mom was a huge football fan. And I remember playing a lot of football, my mom coming to watch me. And the creative side from a young age. So my mom, again, going back to our background. So my granddad was one of the first teachers in his village, right? And he
where
ended
was
up,
that?
that's in Tanzania.
Tanzania,
Yeah.
cool.
So he ended up becoming a head teacher, right? And my grandma was a storyteller, so she didn't take the whole conventional route of education, but she told stories. So one of the things that used to happen to them was in the nighttime, right? My grandma used to tell stories, right? They used to sit around and she told these stories like parables and all sorts. So say, for example, if like one of my uncles got into a fight, then my grandma will find a story to kind of bring that fight to place.
Could pick them a little bit, you know?
Yeah. It shouldn't be fighting, but yeah. So my mom kind of embedded and instilled that thing of storytelling in me because she saw that I gravitated towards that. So I remember she bought me a karaoke machine and I used to use this thing. I used to go into my room. I used to write songs and use the instrumentals that were there to write different songs. And I'll perform to my mom. I'll write short stories, perform to my mom, lyrics, performing to my mom, poems, performing to my mom. My mom would sit there for hours and I've got this picture as well where she just sat there just listening. And what she would do that was amazing, she would be like, that was the best thing ever. You're amazing. Amazing, incredible, right? And it wasn't incredible. It wasn't amazing. But she just made it, like, she made me feel like it was incredible.
Yeah, she spoke value into
She
you.
spoke value into me. And then when I lost my mom,
How old was you then?
I was 11, right? So my whole journey and the whole meaning of life kind of turned, you know. And I think for a child, that's like your worst nightmare, you know. And
Not just for a child, for an adult
like
as well.
for an adult as well, you know. So it was me and my sister, and you know we had to go through foster care, and I remember almost kind of trying to figure out, okay, cool, what's life now? What's next? You know. So again, like I said to you earlier on, I gravitated towards the pen because it's what I knew to do, and I think I felt like it brought me closer to my mum in that sense. So I wrote, and within that time period, I dabbled into a lot of negative stuff. So the roadman that we were speaking about, I was there. I was that child, you know. I was gifted. I was smart, but I also didn't have purpose, you know. So I gravitated towards the roads. Arrested multiple times. Did a lot of crazy, stupid stuff, and but God figured out ways to bring people into my life that intervened at the right and appropriate time. So, for example, my sister, who's like for me, you know, people talk about who's your inspiration, your role model. For me, it's my sister, man, awesome. Because I saw my sister work, you know, countless amount of shifts just so we can both survive, so she could pay for my school stuff and all that sort of stuff. I saw my sister walk miles because she couldn't afford bus fare, you know. So, so all these things, I'm, you know, and having to navigate loss at a young age.
It's powerful when I hear you know, talk about, for example, the journey also in foster care and those sort of things. So whether you know it or not, my sister's adopted.
Yeah, we spoke about that, yeah.
She's one of the most beautiful women in my life. Yeah. And I thank God for the privilege of adoption.
Yes, man.
And what that is to be loved by someone and for them to become your family. And it's a beautiful thing for me. So I find it really powerful that actually of different guests that sit on this podcast, speak into this podcast, there may not be many people that understand that journey of losing parents, but also navigating with different family members or carers or different people that sit in different seats of parent or brother or sister or become those things, 100%, you know? And 100%. I guess, you know, for that journey, how did you find navigating peace in that? You know, you talked previously at the beginning about like your identity and how that kind of, you journeyed that. And I guess as someone who had to journey through foster care and those sort of systems, how did you find that journey with peace or unrest or navigation? Maybe the
Yeah,
identity and
I
things.
didn't have peace. That's the part. I didn't have peace. I didn't have peace within myself. I wasn't going to bed and feeling like, this is no, like I didn't have peace, and hence why, you know, I gravitated towards the negative things, numbing things, and I've always been blessed with a sense of foresight to a certain extent, and I knew there was more in place and in plan, but it was just about making a choice to take that route, making a choice to take that route. And again, I go back to saying like there was people that intervened at different points, and I think their duty was to signpost me towards the right direction, or at least remind me.
They were appointed.
Sorry?
They were appointed.
They were appointed, yeah, to at least remind me that, okay, Jay, you know what? This is not the path for you. Funny enough, I'll tell you the truth. Like, I had elders in the ends who were allegedly drug dealers, right? And, they used to say to me, if I see you selling drugs, like, I'll kick the heck out of you because this is not for you, And they used to say to me, like, you could be the one to set the captives free. Like, you can do more, And these are people who, they're not doing the greatest of stuff, but they were like, nah, man, this is not for you, And funny enough, they'll be like, anything you want to do, we'll support it, but not this, So it's interesting to sort of have that background into an experience, or that experience in particular. Yeah.
Powerful. And you said to me one time a line, which I won't forget. You said from prison cell to poet laureate.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So funny enough, my uncle, I call him Big Unks, who used to pick me up from like the police stations, cells in the police stations, right? Probably like, if not every day, probably like most weekends. And he comes to a lot of my stuff now, right? And my uncle sometimes looks and he looks in wonder, because he's like, this is the same boy I used to pick up and have these conversations, but he was so stubborn, and now he's coming to different things. We're going to different, you met him actually at the Warwick
like
Uni event that we had.
ago,
yeah, man. So, it's a weird transition, but we're blessed to have seen it.
Inspiring. So how about giving this little piece then?
A piece, okay.
Little piece, not of the prison stuff, but of the poetry stuff.
Okay,
How do you think about performing a little something?
Yeah, sure. This is John Bernard, aka Mel the Sun. I'm performing a piece called Talia, which is Swahili word for relax, be still. Okay. My mother's tongue danced effortlessly with the syllables and rhythms of her mother tongue. Her voice, gentle like whispered secrets, revealed the depth of love. Words gracefully composed. I heard melodies when she spoke. Symphonies of hope as her gentle cadence loosened the burdens of the world. Life and death are in the power of a mother's tongue. A child's heart can be cradled, crumpled, cut, or caressed by the choruses that their mothers sung. Today, the waters were troubled. I struggled to stay afloat, my legs barely kicking, my arms fatigued from the pressures of the current. In desperation, engulfed by the waves, I called her name and waited. I eased my eyes shut, just as one closes a book, a story completed, never to be revisited. Mama's always told me to speak, but in that moment, I froze. Because home has always been her voice. And I felt homeless. Thank you.
Awesome. Sweet. The people, everyone's air clapping right now. And
Air claps. Phone claps.
And the hearts are, moving. Thanks for that, John.
Appreciate
for that piece.
Okay,
it was powerful. And I felt your heart.
Yeah,
I'm sure people that see that will see your heart through your expressions, but people that listen to it as well will see your heart. But we're going to do a really quick self-care piece.
Okay.
This is a quick one.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to lead you through it. You can close your eyes. I'm kind of combining two things here.
Okay.
It's going to be, some people call it yawn and stretch.
Okay.
Or some people might say, tension and relax.
Okay.
So it's this kind of dimension of forcing yourself to relax and putting your mindset, but also your body into relaxation kind of phrases, phrases, poses, and different things. So I'll lead you through it. You're gonna do some tensing of your muscles, relaxing. If you want to put your drink on the
my
side
cup
here as
down.
well, your cup down. Yeah, it will just be a short one, but give you a little time to try and take you to a deeper place of peace.
Cool.
Okay?
Yep.
So you can close your eyes and I'll lead you through it. So, first of all, take a couple of deep breaths. Tense your hands together, grip them really tightly, then relax them. Try and tense a lot of muscles in your shoulders. Bring your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Feel really lots of tension. Then relax them and make them really light. Now try and force yourself to almost do a yawn and open your mouth really wide and imagine you're relaxing even more. If you need to, do it again and take a big yawn and a big deep breath afterwards. Now imagine the rest of the muscles in your body, one by one, from your legs all the way up to your hips, from your hips up to your shoulders. Try and tense as many muscles as possible in your body. 4 seconds, 2, 3, 4. Now relax them. Feel yourself sinking into your seat. Take some breaths and relax. Relax your muscles, your face muscles, your hands, your feet, your toes, your back, your chest muscles. Just relax everything. Feel heavy in your chair. And take some deep breaths. And relax. Now when you're ready, keep breathing at a steady pace, but come back into the room. And that's it. Open your eyes. Little practice.
Nice.
Something to relax your body.
Nice.
From tension to relaxation.
Nice.
Yeah. Here's a question. Do you spend much time stretching or are you stiff?
Oh, that's a good shout, Depends how you look at it. Oh, my. I think I should stretch more, to be honest. I definitely should stretch more. I don't think I stretch as much as I should do, to be fair, yeah.
And do you find yourself relaxing much intentionally, or is it just something that comes down?
I wouldn't say intentionally. I would say, like, sometimes my body will bring me to relax and bring me to that point where I need to rest. But intentionally, sometimes, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So hey, we're coming in on the home straight with the podcast, and it's been sweet to hear you share about your story. But this is one of my favorite questions that I ask people, because I think there's a lot of value and a lot of nuggets in this one. Well, how people respond to it. But if you look at your life and all the things you're journeying through, from Formula One to posting things on your bedroom, to being a father, to being a friend, to being a brother, what sort of wrestle would you say is worth it? What's the thing where you feel like you have to fight for it, but that's where you find the value in the things you do in your life? It could be professionally, it could be personally, it could be both. But where's the wrestle where you wrestle with it because it's worth it?
I think fatherhood. I think that's an easy one to answer. I think fatherhood requires me to be the best man I can be, right? And that will then inspire me to be the best that I can be in every other area, But I think I say fatherhood because that's the legacy aspect as well, that's generational, and I can't say that lightly. I think, coming from the situations that I've come from, but also being blessed with great parents, I think that's enabled me to understand what legacy means, but also, being able to live with a generational mindset, So I'll definitely say fatherhood.
And what do you mean by generational?
So generational mindset, I mean that, I want my kids' and their kids' to be at a position where, they were provided with the right insight, and they were provided with love and care, and they enjoyed what they were meant to enjoy, They have had or will have an understanding of faith and what faith has meant to me, and prayer, and live their purpose, do what they were called to do. I think for me, that's the generational aspect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm intrigued because you're in lots of spaces where they're not faith-filled spaces. Maybe the aim is to get more people there for the gigs, or to get more likes, or to get more views. And how does that come alongside your faith and your journey? Because I imagine, I've been in spaces which are really faith spaces, churches, etc., where it's easy to express something that you love, because everyone else, most people there love the same thing. But when that's a big thing for you on your heart, but you're in a space where it's not for other people, how do you journey that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very flawed in so many ways, right? But I can never deny the power of God in my life, know what God has done for me. If you look at my situation and the things I've been able to do, and people always ask me, oh, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you get this? Well, it's God. It's got nothing to do with me. And I always say that, look, it's nothing to do with me, it's God. My whole journey, my whole existence in everything I've been able to, just sanity in general, everything about it it's been God. So as a flawed human being with so much to work on, I cannot deny the power of God in my life and what God has been able to do with a flawed person. 100%, I can't deny that. So wherever I do, if you see a lot of my captions, some people are like, are you religious? I was like, not really religious, but I've seen the power of God. I know what God can do, and I know what God has done, and I know what God continues to do. So if any opportunity I do get, I give glory to God. Because I'm a testament of grace in so many ways. Huge testament of grace, man. So yeah. So when you talk about my faith alongside those spaces, I make it known that I give glory to God, because I wouldn't be in those spaces if it wasn't for God. So it's
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
I love a bit where you talk about the power of your pen, and how it gave you a voice. It gave you were able to, what did you say, paint your future.
Yes, definitely.
With a pen. Some people would say you'd need a paintbrush to do that, but
that's them.
So
I wish I could draw or paint, but
one day, who
one
knows?
day,
It could
man.
land. But I guess so we're about to land on the end of this episode.
Yeah.
So I guess, is there something, a story to tell, a word of inspiration, something you want to express, or something for the record that anyone who's listened to this, watching this, would know John said to them?
I think I would honestly say, you're all ultimately gifted. You're all ultimately gifted, and what you're meant to do, what you're called to do, is already inside you. I remember learning this analogy that I was given, right, and that changed my whole way of thinking about life in general. And it's about the seed, right? We all possess a seed of potential. We all do, right? But not every seed of potential will bear fruit, or the right type of fruit. So sometimes it comes to that situation where we have to make the choice to plant ourselves in the right environment, in the right situation with the right people. And the right people can mean pruners, so people who will discipline us, to remove the things that we feel like they need to be around us, the weeds and stuff like that grow alongside us. We need to allow them in. We're going to have cultivators. We're going to have people who are sunlight, and we need to position ourselves to receive that positive energy, and connect ourselves to the source, and God can be that source, So understanding that, and that seed of potential placed in the right environment grows and begins to bear good fruit, and we all have that seed of potential. Now, the other side is our seed of potential can be placed in the wrong environments, that come, from our choices. And, we end up becoming unhealthy trees, bearing unhealthy fruit, poisonous fruit, So I think my humble encouragement for people is to, understand that you matter first and foremost, and you have that seed of potential. Your voice is unique. No one in the world will ever have the same voice as you. So that means you're powerful and you exist for a reason, right? And you have something to offer. And that's my offering to you. You have something to offer. You matter, your voice matter, your actions matter, your mind matters, and your purpose matters. And there's somebody waiting, as corny as it sounds, as cliche as it sounds, waiting for your story. There's somebody waiting for your story to be touched by your story, and that will enable them to overcome their hurdles and push forward to seek their purpose.
It's powerful, man. And I love how you didn't look at me much when you said that then, because I could tell you were speaking to hundreds and thousands of people that will listen
Yes,
to this
amen
episode.
to that. Yes, yes,
Which I'm sure many people will be inspired.
yes.
So the final question that we also always ask, because this is what the podcast is called,
Yeah.
what does the pursuit of peace mean to you?
Okay, so the pursuit of peace, for me, it's being purposeful. If you're purposeful in what you're doing in life, and you're doing what you're called to do, again, going back to that fish out of water analogy, you will have that peace. I say faith as well, being connected to faith, and allowing God to fill you with that peace that you need. That's everlasting, but that's also incomprehensible in that sense, in the human level. That's a big one as well. And be kind to yourself, man. Be kind to yourself. I think we're all so heavy on ourselves at times, and we need to be kind to ourselves. And understanding that we're flawed, we're human, but we've got things to offer. And mistakes happen, but just be kind to yourself and continue to be the best that you can be every single day. And another thing is, I think what I learned as well is, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Applaud people's wins. Appreciate when people do great things. And await for your appointed time to receive your applause. Because that will come as well. But applaud people that are doing amazing things. And that also gives peace. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks. Well, thanks for being on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
It's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. I've been inspired. I know many other people well, and good to not just call you a guest, but a friend and a brother.
Appreciate you, my bro.
So good to be in this space.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.